The lantern's glow wavered against the barn walls as the last edge of daylight bled away outside, turning the world beyond the doors into a blue-gold hush. Emma leaned against the wooden post near the entrance, breathing hard, shoulders trembling beneath the weight of exhaustion she'd been hiding since the morning. The barn smelled faintly of hay, leather, and the cold that clung to everything in winter. Her fingers stung from the long hours of work, and her legs felt unsteady, as though every step she had taken had pulled some invisible thread inside her closer to snapping. Caleb walked several steps ahead of her, boots grinding softly over the ground. He hadn't said a word since they finished repairing the southern fence line, the one the storm had torn apart the night before. She had helped him haul 6 heavy posts, wrestled them into the frozen earth, hold them steady while he tightened the wire. She'd lifted more today than she'd lifted in the past month combined. She'd swallowed every complaint, every tremor, every ache, because she didn't want him to think she couldn't handle ranch work. She needed this job. Needed the shelter, the paycheck, the chance to start over. But the truth was seeping through her bones now. A quiet and overwhelming fatigue that refused to be ignored. Caleb stopped near the center of the barn. The lantern he'd hung flickered against the planes of his face, drawing hard shadows beneath his cheekbones. His broad shoulders rose and fell with his breath, and for a moment she thought he might finally say something, anything, that could ease the tight coil of silence between them. Instead, he turned slightly, not quite facing her, but close enough that she felt his attention land on her like a weight. She lowered her gaze, trying to steady her breathing, but a small sound, half a whimper, half a gasp escaped her throat. She hated it. Hated that he could hear her weakness. Hated more that she couldn't hold it in anymore. He took a step toward her, and she flinched without meaning to. His jaw tensed. "What's wrong with you?" he asked, voice low. Not angry, not gentle either. Something in between. Her mouth felt dry. She pressed a hand to her chest, fingers curling into the fabric of her coat. "Slow down," she whispered, her voice barely a thread of sound. "I can't take this anymore." The words slipped out before she could wrestle them back. She expected him to laugh or scoff or tell her to toughen up. He had that old rancher hardness in him, the kind that didn't bend for comfort or apology. The kind she'd seen all morning while he tossed bales like feathers and repaired broken boards with a speed she couldn't match even on her best day. But Caleb didn't scoff. He didn't move. He looked at her, really looked. Something flickered in his eyes. Something she couldn't decipher in the dim barn light. Her breath hitched, but she forced herself to stand straighter. I need a minute. Please." Her knees wobbled. She steadied herself on a tack box, palms burning with the effort. Caleb closed the distance between them, boots slow and measured. She felt her pulse climb into her throat. His height towered over her, his presence filling the space so thoroughly that she felt encircled even though he hadn't touched her. "Emma," he said quietly. His voice held a rumbling weight, heavy enough to make her chest tighten. He reached toward her, and she shrank back instinctively. His brows drew down. "I'm not going to hurt you." It wasn't fear of him. It was fear of breaking in front of him. "I just said slow down," she whispered again, her voice cracking. "It's too much." Today was too much. He glanced at the coat she was gripping, his eyes narrowing slightly as if he was putting pieces together. Then he reached for the edge of her collar. Before she could react, slipped his fingers beneath the heavy canvas coat and eased it off her shoulders. "No, Caleb, what are you doing?" Her voice shook. "Take it off," he muttered, not harshly, but with a certainty that made her heart race. He tugged the coat free, slow but firm, as though he feared she might collapse if he moved too quickly. The moment the garment left her body, the cold bit into her arms. She gasped. "Caleb," she tried again. He ignored the protest. Brushing away flecks of dust the wind had plastered against the coat during their long day. Every movement he made was deliberate, controlled, as though he was angry but not at her. Angry at something he'd done. Something he'd missed. He let her coat fall across a saddle. Then he did the unthinkable. He turned, pulled at the zipper of his own thick ranch jacket, the one she had seen him wear day after day. Through storms, through repairs, through everything, and shrugged out of it. She stared. That jacket was like a second skin to him. He never took it off in the cold barn. Never. "You're freezing," he said. Stepping toward her again. "I'm not," she began, but her voice faltered. "Emma," said her name, like it was the only word he trusted himself with. Then he draped the jacket over her shoulders and pulled it snug around her, his hands settling briefly on her arms. The warmth hit her instantly, flooding into her chilled skin. She sucked in a breath, overwhelmed by the sudden comfort. The unexpected gentleness. His jacket was too big, swallowing her entirely. It smelled of cedar, dust, and something grounding. Something distinctly him. The heat from the fabric seeped into her trembling muscles, and she felt her throat tighten. He stepped back only when he was certain the jacket wouldn't slip. "You're shaking," he said quietly. "I watched you all damn day trying to hide it." Her lips parted. She didn't know he'd noticed. She didn't think he cared enough to notice. He ran a hand over his jaw, frustration flickering across his face but not directed at her. "You should have told me to stop. I should have seen it sooner." "You had work to finish," she murmured, trying and failing to steady her voice. "I didn't want to be a problem." That. Caleb's expression changed. Hardened, softened, broke. Something old and tired passed through his eyes. "You're not a problem," he said. And he meant it so fiercely, she felt the words sink deep into her chest. "You're a person. And I pushed you too hard." The barn felt suddenly smaller, the silence sharper. Emma's legs nearly buckled, and he reached out instantly, catching her elbow with startling care. His grip wasn't tight, just steady enough to keep her upright. "You're done for the day," he said. "No arguments," she swallowed, trying to process the shift in him, the way his voice softened, the way his posture changed from imposing to protective. She had never imagined this side of him existed. She had only seen the relentless worker, the man who carried burdens like they were nothing, moved through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who needed no one and expected no help. But this was different. "What are you doing?" she asked softly, unable to help it. His thumb brushed once lightly over her sleeve before he pulled his hand away. "Fixing what I messed up." Her breath stopped. "Completely," he continued, voice lower now. "You came here for a chance, not to be worked into the ground. I should have slowed down. I should have checked on you." She looked away, tears threatening. "I didn't want you to think I'm weak." "Being cold doesn't make you weak," he said. "Being tired doesn't make you weak. Not speaking up, that's the only mistake you made." He paused. "And even that? Maybe that's my fault too." His jacket weighed on her shoulders like a shield, and for the first time, she felt her nerves unclench, the tight coil inside her loosening one thread at a time. He tilted his head toward the house. "There's stew on the stove. You're eating, then you're resting." "Caleb, I can't." "You can," he said firmly. "And you will." She met his eyes. They were no longer hard, no longer distant. They were warm in a way she hadn't seen before, warm enough to melt the cold that had wrapped around her all day. He stepped back just enough to give her space, but not enough to make her feel abandoned. The barn door creaked as the wind pressed against it, and she shivered, though less now with the thick jacket enveloping her. "Come on," he murmured. "You're safe now. Safe." The word hit her like a soft blow, knocking breath from her lungs. She held the lapels of his jacket close, feeling the weight of everything she'd been carrying finally begin to ease. For the first time since dawn, she let herself breathe deeply, for the first time in a long time. She didn't feel alone, and as Caleb walked beside her, toward the warm glow of the ranch house, she felt something shift quietly between them, something unspoken, something fragile, something new, and she didn't have the strength or the will to push it away.